Have you ever felt weighed down, like no matter how hard you try, something is holding you back from your true potential? Often, it's not the big, obvious problems. It's the small, silent things in your life that quietly drain your energy, steal your focus, and dim your light. Today, we're going to uncover 10 things you must eliminate silently to reclaim your power, your peace, and your purpose. These aren't just ideas, they're a blueprint for freedom, growth, and unstoppable momentum. Some of the heaviest chains in life are not physical. They are the invisible ones we carry in the form of relationships that drain our energy, cloud our judgment, and limit our growth. These people are not always overtly cruel or negative. Sometimes they are subtly toxic, wrapped in charm, habit, or nostalgia. You might call them friends, colleagues, or even family, but the truth is their presence in your life is keeping you from your fullest potential. When someone constantly criticizes you, belittles your dreams, or sows doubt in your mind, it's not an accident. It's a reflection of what they are unwilling or unable to deal with in themselves. Staying close to them quietly erodes your self-confidence and diverts your focus from what truly matters. The first step to reclaiming your life is to recognize that your peace, energy, and growth are more valuable than anyone else's approval. Eliminating toxic relationships does not mean confrontation or drama. It means silent, deliberate action. It is a quiet decision that you make for your own well-being, not a punishment for the other person. When you stop engaging with those who drain your spirit, you create space for people and experiences that align with your purpose. This doesn't have to be loud or public. It can be as simple as limiting interactions, removing them from your inner circle, or saying no to invitations that leave you feeling depleted. Your life is a reflection of the people you spend the most time with. And by carefully curating that circle, you elevate your energy, your mindset, and your ability to succeed. It is not selfish. It is survival. It is growth. It is a declaration that you refuse to let anyone dim your light. Often people fear cutting ties because they imagine loss, confrontation, or guilt. But think about this. Every moment spent with a toxic person is a moment stolen from your future self. Your energy is finite, and when you give it away to someone who does not respect it, you are silently sabotaging your own life. By quietly letting go, you are not closing doors in anger. You are opening them in purpose. You are sending a message to yourself and the universe that your time, your mental space, and your emotional health are non-negotiable. This is not about revenge, punishment, or proving a point. It is about self-respect, dignity, and the relentless pursuit of a life that energizes you rather than depletes you. The process of silently eliminating toxic relationships also teaches you something profound about boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are lines you draw to protect what matters most. Once you understand the power of boundaries, you begin to notice subtle forms of toxicity you might have ignored before: complaining, manipulation, envy, or constant negativity. Recognizing these patterns is the first step. Acting on them is the next. You do not need validation or justification for this choice. The quiet act of removing harmful people is one of the most courageous steps toward freedom you can take. It is a declaration to yourself that your life is sacred and you will not allow anyone to undermine it. Eliminating toxic relationships silently also opens space for growth in unexpected ways. When the noise, criticism, and emotional drains are removed, clarity emerges. You begin to hear your own voice, feel your own intuition, and trust your own decisions. Opportunities you could not see before start to become visible. Energy that was wasted on drama is now available for creation, focus, and fulfillment. This is the power of silent elimination. It does not require confrontation, explanation, or justification. It works quietly, steadily, and profoundly. Your life becomes lighter, sharper, and more aligned with your purpose. Finally, understand that this is not a one-time process. It is an ongoing commitment to yourself. Life will continue to bring people into your orbit who test your boundaries, challenge your energy, or threaten your peace. The difference now is that you have learned the power of silent elimination. You recognize that protecting your energy is not optional, it is essential. Every silent step you take to remove negativity from your life is a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. Freedom, focus, and fulfillment are not rewards. They are the natural consequences of respecting your own value and refusing to let anyone else dictate your worth. One of the quietest killers of potential is the voice inside your own head that tells you, you can't, you're not enough, or this is impossible. Limiting beliefs and self-doubt are subtle, silent, and often invisible to others, but they shape the course of your life more than any external circumstance ever could. They whisper fear into your mind, steal your confidence, and prevent you from stepping fully into your purpose. Every time you tell yourself a story of limitation, you create invisible walls around your life, confining your dreams and keeping your growth on hold. These are not truths. They are borrowed opinions, unchallenged assumptions, and inherited fears that have no place in your journey. Recognizing them is the first step, but the true transformation happens when you quietly, deliberately eliminate them from your mind and your actions. Silently removing limiting beliefs does not happen overnight. It requires awareness, repetition, and courage. Every time you notice a thought that diminishes your power, challenge it internally without giving it space to grow. Replace it with truth, possibility, and action. This is not about forced positivity or ignoring reality. It is about rejecting the narratives that no longer serve you. Your mind is like fertile soil, and every thought you entertain is a seed. When you plant doubt, you harvest hesitation. When you plant belief in your potential, you harvest momentum. The silent elimination of self-doubt is an act of cultivation. It nurtures the mindset, focus, and confidence you need to achieve your goals. Limiting beliefs often manifest as excuses, procrastination, or avoidance, and they can be deeply convincing because they disguise themselves as logic or caution. You may hear yourself say, "I'm not ready," "I don't have enough experience," or "I'll try later." These thoughts feel protective, but they are actually controlling your life behind your back. By quietly observing these patterns and refusing to act on them, you take the power back. You begin to see that fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to pay attention, adjust, and move forward anyway. Every time you act in defiance of a limiting belief, you weaken its hold and reinforce your own authority over your life. The silent elimination of self-doubt also reshapes your relationships and opportunities. When you stop projecting insecurity and hesitation, you start to attract people and situations that align with your new energy. Others respond to confidence, clarity, and decisiveness, even when it is quiet and understated. Your beliefs do not just affect your internal world, they radiate outward and influence the environment around you. By quietly letting go of thoughts that diminish your power, you not only free yourself, but you also change the way the world interacts with you. Life begins to meet you where you are, rather than where fear has kept you trapped. It is important to remember that eliminating limiting beliefs is not about perfection or constant positivity. It is about awareness, choice, and consistency. Every time doubt arises, you make a conscious decision not to feed it, not to justify it, and not to follow it. This is where true personal power lives, in the quiet decisions you make every day that reinforce your strength and your potential. These silent victories accumulate over time, creating momentum, resilience, and unwavering confidence. The mind, once liberated from limiting beliefs, becomes your most powerful ally in creating the life you desire. Finally, this is a lifelong practice. Limiting beliefs may try to creep back during stress, change, or challenge, but each time you recognize them and let them go, you grow stronger. Every moment you refuse to let self-doubt dictate your actions is a victory for your future self. By silently eliminating these internal barriers, you become unstoppable, not because life has changed, but because your perception has. Your beliefs shape your reality, and when you take control of them quietly, deliberately, and consistently, Nothing can hold you back. Freedom, achievement, and fulfillment are not distant rewards. They are the natural outcome of refusing to let anything inside you limit your potential. Many people underestimate the subtle yet powerful impact of unproductive habits and daily distractions on their lives. These are the small, seemingly harmless actions we repeat without thought, scrolling endlessly on social media, binge-watching shows, or giving time to tasks that do not move us forward. Each one may seem insignificant alone, but together they quietly steal hours, energy, and focus that could be devoted to meaningful growth. The problem is that these habits feel comfortable, familiar, and even rewarding in the short term, masking the slow erosion of our potential. When we fail to recognize their cumulative effect, we wonder why our dreams feel just out of reach, why our goals take longer than expected, and why we feel exhausted without achieving much. Silent elimination of these distractions is not about restriction. It is about reclaiming control over your most valuable resource, your time. Eliminating unproductive habits requires self-awareness, honesty, and the courage to act without seeking validation. Start by noticing where your attention goes, what behaviors consume your energy, and which patterns leave you feeling drained rather than fulfilled. This process is not about judging yourself. It is about seeing clearly what is holding you back. By quietly cutting out the things that do not serve your purpose, you create room for focus, creativity, and action. Life is a series of choices, and the more intentional you are about how you spend your time, the more aligned your life becomes with your goals. Every moment spent intentionally becomes a building block for your future, while every wasted moment is an opportunity lost. Distractions are often disguised as necessity or relaxation, but they can be deadly when left unchecked. A quick check on social media can become hours of scrolling, a short break can extend into procrastination, and a harmless habit can morph into a time-consuming ritual that offers little return. Silent elimination of these distractions is not dramatic. It is deliberate. It is deciding to replace mindless routines with mindful action, to prioritize what matters most, and to protect your focus at all costs. When you do this consistently, you begin to notice how much more productive, energized, and confident you feel. The small sacrifices you make in the moment compound into massive gains over time. Unproductive habits are also often tied to emotional avoidance. We check our phones to escape boredom, scroll social media to avoid discomfort, or overconsume entertainment to numb anxiety. Recognizing this connection allows you to address the root of the behavior instead of merely the symptom. By silently eliminating these habits, you create a mental and emotional space where clarity, focus, and creativity can thrive. You stop running from your own potential and start stepping toward it. The silence in this process is powerful because it removes the drama, the guilt, and the excuses, leaving only action and growth. When you eliminate distractions and unproductive habits, you also begin to respect your time in a way you never did before. Your day starts to feel richer, your energy more abundant, and your focus sharper. You realize that life does not need to be filled with noise, constant stimulation, or endless activity to be meaningful. By quietly removing the unnecessary, you create space for deliberate action, learning, growth, and achievement. Your life becomes a reflection of intention rather than habit, and every decision you make carries purpose and momentum. This process is not a one-time action. It is a lifelong practice. Every day will present temptations to slip back into old routines, distractions, and unproductive habits. The difference now is that you have cultivated the awareness and discipline to recognize them and act differently. Silent elimination is not about perfection. It is about consistent action, self-respect, and honoring your goals. Over time, this practice compounds, giving you the focus, energy, and momentum to achieve more in months than most achieve in years. By removing what does not serve you quietly, deliberately, and persistently, you create a life that is not only productive but also fulfilling, purposeful, and unstoppable. Our environment has a silent, profound effect on who we become. The spaces we inhabit, the energy around us, and the subtle influences we allow into our lives shape our mindset, productivity, and emotional state more than we often realize. Toxic environments, whether physical, social, or professional, quietly drain our energy, dampen our motivation, and limit our potential. They may be places filled with negativity, chaos, or constant criticism, or even situations where progress feels impossible. Staying in these spaces, even out of habit or obligation, keeps you stuck in patterns that prevent growth. Recognizing the subtle ways your surroundings impact you is the first step toward transformation, but the true power comes from silently removing what no longer serves your highest good. Silently stepping away from energy-draining environments requires courage, patience, and self-awareness. It's not about confrontation or dramatics. It's about making intentional choices for your well-being. You may not need to announce your departure or justify your actions to anyone. It is enough to simply choose peace, clarity, and purpose over chaos and distraction. By quietly withdrawing from toxic spaces, you reclaim your focus and emotional stability. You begin to notice the difference immediately. Thoughts become clearer, creativity flows more freely, and your energy is available for pursuits that matter. This quiet act of elimination is a declaration that you value your own growth more than the approval or comfort of a negative environment. Toxic environments often appear subtle and even familiar, which makes them especially dangerous. A workplace may seem normal, but silently sap your motivation through gossip, negativity, or unrealistic demands. A home space may be cluttered, chaotic, or emotionally charged, leaving you drained before the day even begins. The people and places we tolerate become extensions of our own energy, influencing how we feel, act, and think. By choosing to silently step away, you take control of your own energy instead of allowing it to be hijacked. Every quiet decision to protect your environment strengthens your inner focus, resilience, and ability to thrive. The act of eliminating toxic environments also teaches the power of discernment. You begin to notice patterns of energy that uplift versus energy that drains. You develop a radar for situations that leave you depleted and for places that energize and inspire you. This discernment is invaluable because it allows you to make intentional choices about where to invest your time, attention, and energy. By quietly removing spaces and situations that harm you, you create room for environments that support growth, creativity, and fulfillment. This process does not happen in a single moment. It is a continual practice of evaluation, adjustment, and self-protection. Leaving toxic spaces silently does not mean avoiding responsibility or abandoning people. It is about prioritizing your well-being and growth. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and no external obligation justifies sacrificing your peace, energy, or clarity. The quiet elimination of draining environments empowers you to reclaim your time, energy, and purpose. It allows you to show up fully for what matters most, rather than being bogged down by what no longer serves you. Life rewards those who protect their energy, and every small step you take toward healthier surroundings compounds into greater focus, productivity, and fulfillment. Finally, this is a lifelong commitment, not a one-time decision. Environments shift, people change, and energy patterns evolve. Maintaining awareness and choosing wisely becomes a daily practice. Every time you identify and silently step away from a situation that diminishes your potential, you reinforce your commitment to growth, clarity, and self-respect. Over time, the accumulation of these small, quiet eliminations transforms your life, creating space for creativity, opportunity, and personal evolution. By deliberately removing toxic environments from your life, you are not just surviving, you are cultivating a space where your highest potential can thrive, flourish, and become unstoppable. One of the heaviest burdens we carry through life is the weight of old attachments and unresolved emotional baggage. These are the memories, regrets, grudges, and hurts that linger quietly in the background, shaping how we think, feel, and act without us even realizing it. Holding on to the past, whether it's a failed relationship, a betrayal, or a disappointment, keeps us tethered to a version of ourselves that no longer serves our growth. The truth is that you cannot fully step into your future while dragging the shadows of yesterday behind you. Silent elimination of this emotional weight is not about forgetting. It is about consciously choosing freedom, clarity, and peace over resentment, fear, and attachment. Letting go of emotional baggage requires courage and self-compassion. It is a quiet, deliberate act of reclaiming your energy and prioritizing your own well-being. This process does not involve confrontation, justification, or explanation. It is an internal cleansing, a decision to no longer allow the past to dictate your present or your future. By silently releasing attachments, you create space for clarity, focus, and growth to emerge naturally. Every moment spent clinging to old pain is a moment stolen from your potential, and every act of letting go is a step toward living fully, authentically, and without the invisible chains that have held you back for so long. Emotional baggage often disguises itself as loyalty, habit, or fear of loss, making it difficult to recognize. We hold on because we believe it defines us, because we think someone or something cannot be forgotten, or because we fear the emptiness that might follow. But what we fail to see is that these attachments quietly sabotage our happiness and drain our energy. By consciously choosing to release them, we reclaim our mental and emotional space. The silence of this action is its power. It does not create conflict, it does not demand attention, but it fundamentally shifts your inner landscape. You begin to feel lighter, freer, and more capable of pursuing the life that is truly meant for you. The process of silently letting go also reveals the power of presence. When the past no longer dominates your thoughts, you can fully inhabit your current moment. You begin to see opportunities, relationships, and experiences with clarity and without the distortions of old wounds. Your energy, once fragmented by regret or resentment, becomes whole again. Every decision, every interaction, and every goal pursued is now fueled by choice, intention, and presence rather than by the echoes of past pain. Silent elimination of emotional baggage is not dramatic. It is deliberate, subtle, and profoundly transformative. Releasing old attachments does not mean you erase lessons learned or deny your experiences. It means you honor them without letting them control you. Each hurt, each disappointment, each heartbreak has shaped who you are, but it does not need to dictate who you will become. By quietly letting go, you reclaim your narrative, shift your focus, and take responsibility for your emotional freedom. The act of elimination is not about revenge or avoidance. It is about reclaiming your power and refusing to allow the past to define your present or limit your future. This is a lifelong practice, not a one-time event. New challenges, disappointments, and emotional attachments will arise, but each time you consciously release them, you reinforce your inner strength, clarity, and resilience. Every silent act of letting go compounds over time, creating a life of emotional freedom, peace, and limitless potential. By deliberately eliminating old attachments and emotional baggage, you are not just surviving, you are evolving into a version of yourself that is free, focused, and fully capable of living a life of purpose, fulfillment, and unstoppable momentum.